Hello, and welcome to our last 2015 edition podcast. I'm here with my good friend Peter. Peter, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Max. How about yourself?
I'm doing phenomenal. Talking about college basketball here. I'm excited. The season is going strong. Why not? It's soaring around the school, certainly around the area. Seton Hall this weekend defeated Wichita State in an overtime thriller.
I mean, a big win for Seton Hall. Over an experienced team like Wichita State. That's really a confidence booster for those players.
Definitely, and here to join us, special guest, longtime season ticket holder, and diehard fan is Peter Yarum himself. Peter, how are you doing today?
How are you doing, boys?
I'm
Good
doing
to be
well.
here.
Doing well. So you were at the game on Saturday,
I
correct?
was indeed.
The 80-76 overtime thriller. How was that game different than other games?
The fans came out stronger than ever, it seemed, on Saturday. And, even though the students were on break, they came out in a big showing. The crowd was rowdy, and The Rock was rocking.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Seton Hall, not known for their powerhouse in basketball. Do you think this win can be something that they can look on in the future and maybe see as a stepping point toward the next step?
Absolutely. They have a really young team this year, predominantly sophomores. And, beating a strong veteran team like Wichita State really helps out in the building process. And, hopefully the team can see this as not only a learning opportunity, but they could take this win and prove to themselves that they can compete with these veteran teams and hopefully make a little run down the stretch in the postseason.
Now, as a season ticket holder, you saw this win firsthand. Do you see this team playing differently than other previous Seton Hall teams?
I definitely do. Last year they were struggling a little bit with roles and who was a shot taker, and they weren't really working as a team. They were working more as individuals. And this season, even though they do have their star players, they're working more as a team, really distributing the ball, and they're kind of working to get shots for everybody else rather than just a select handful of players.
Yeah, certainly. And Seton Hall already on the young season, they're 9-2. They have their big win, so to say, Wichita State. Although Wichita not having a great year, as we mentioned last week, but I think this Seton Hall team is for real. I really do. Desi Rodriguez, Angel Delgado, Isaiah Whitehead played a key role in that big win on Saturday. Would you like to add more about how this team is so well-rounded?
Well, we do have Angel Delgado in the center, and he's definitely going to be a big threat come Big East time. He has multiple double-doubles this season and led the Big East in double-doubles last season. So hopefully he can repeat that this year and still be the strong force he is. He just needs to remain out of foul trouble, which he's been doing an okay job of this season.
Yeah, depth is a little bit of a concern for me as I watch Seton Hall. As their team not very deep, they only run about 8-9. Kevin Willard, he likes to keep the bench pretty short. Something that I'm a little bit worried about in the future is Big East play. Big East seems to be very strong this year. Xavier, Butler, Villanova, of course. So if Seton Hall just finished 500 in the Big East, I think they have a legitimate shot, NIT, maybe even the tournament, hopefully. What do you think?
I think as long as we stay away from injuries this season, because last year the injury bug got us.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely. And if we can stay away from injuries and still buy into Kevin Willard's philosophy and work as a team and not run into locker room issues like we did last year, which was a big factor in our team last season, I think the team could come together and could definitely make the tournament for the first time in the
So now, we're all going to make a prediction. Where is Seton Hall at the end of the year, Peter?
They're in the NIT, and they lose first round.
Peter?
I'm going to say NCAA tournament, lose first round.
I'll go NCAA tournament. They have a play-in game. They win, and they make a Sweet 16 run. All right? Mark my words, all right? It's December 21st. Max Morris calling Seton Hall in the Sweet 16. Thank you for joining us, Peter. Hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Next up in New Jersey, Monmouth defeated Rutgers by a score of 73-67 in the rack this week.
I mean, look at it, Monmouth is clearly, them and Seton Hall are two best teams in New Jersey. I mean, Rutgers, another, I'd say probably a debilitating loss. I mean, it's tough to lose in-state like that. I mean, we don't really go into recruiting a lot, but you can say that's a big blow to a recruiting factor.
Certainly, and if you watched our podcast last week, which a lot of people did, I talked to a lot of people. They loved my bit on Rutgers and more so my hatred and despising of Eddie Jordan. He just proves my point even more. They lost once again to an in-state rival. Rutgers, terrible. If you want my rant, just watch last week. That's all. I'm not spending any more time on that disgrace of a program. Let's move to a national stage. Kentucky versus Ohio State in the Barclays Center. It was a great game, great tournament. Ohio State pulls off the upset and beat Kentucky by a score of 74-67.
I mean, you look at that. I mean, Kentucky, from their standpoint, Jamal Murray went off 33 points. But other than that, there was no real production anywhere else. You know, Briscoe had an off night.
Yeah.
Brissier has just not been very good at all this year. His stock's falling in the draft. And you look at Ohio State, you know, they're not as great as they were previous years, you know. I feel like, you know, they're missing D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
You know,
Hard to replace those
yeah,
guys.
You know, point guards who can not only can lead, but, you know, they can score when they have to.
Yeah. Ohio State's only now 6-5. A lot of Ohio State faithful think maybe this win can be a turning point. Maybe they can build on this win and move forward. But as you mentioned, an inexperienced team. They only have one or two juniors, Mark Loving, Jayshawn Tate. But, you know, maybe this win can bring that young team together and they can pile off a couple wins. I think they'll be competitive this year.
I mean, definitely, yeah. I mean, a school like that, you know, the coach, you know, Thad Matta is a great coach.
Certainly.
I mean, whether or not the team's great or not, they're going to get production, they're going to, you know, be in these types of games. And while they might not, or be probably on the edge of the tournament, we're not surprised if they get in there, you know. I mean, with that all being said, they're still a good team.
Yeah, certainly. Thad Matta always seems to have his wins on the year. His teams always seems to be competitive. He always seems to beat the Indianas, Michigan State, Purdue, one or two in there. Not necessarily all of them, but he always seems to have that marquee win. Now, let's move across the river as Ohio State beat Kentucky in Brooklyn. Utah played Duke at Madison Square Garden.
And yes, and another upset as the ranked team Duke fell to a Utah team led by a great center in Jakob Poeltl.
Certainly. I was watching that game. Dickie V was in awe of Jakob Poeltl, the Austrian. He played phenomenal. I never know. I don't remember him from last year. He's a sophomore. He's a very talented player.
His stock is rising in the draft. I heard people saying top 5 possibly. And it doesn't surprise me. He played so well in that game.
Yeah, Utah with the upset defeated 9-2 Duke Blue Devils 77-75 in overtime. That was a shocker.
It was. I mean, albeit Grayson Allen was sick, you could tell it wasn't the same player. And even when you get lack of production from your star like that, it's tough to win a game, especially against Utah. While they're not ranked, that's a good program right there.
Yeah, certainly. And I was shocked how many Utah fans were at the Garden in New York. I know it's holiday time, maybe people have off from work, but wow, credit to Utah. That huge fan base. Because Duke, that was already their third game in the Garden. The Garden's like their second home. Coach K does a great job of really planting the seed in New York, the New Jersey area, getting those recruits. So I was shocked to see how evenly the fan bases were in the Garden.
Yeah, it was very surprising. I mean, although Duke, you know, as you said, third game there, they always get fans come out to their games. But whenever you get a team like Utah, even like we're talking Wichita State coming out to Seton Hall,
Yeah.
it's always good, you know, when those smaller, you know, not as big public and private institutions can have support from fans. It really adds to the atmosphere of the games.
Now, this is Duke's second loss on the season. What do you think this means going forward, Peter?
I don't think it really means much. I mean, like we said, you know, Emil Jefferson's also out. We didn't
Yeah.
even mention that. They're pretty much down 1.5 players. I'll say half of Grayson Allen was there. I mean, it's not like Utah. Like I said, Utah's a tournament team. I mean, it was probably they made a few rounds in the tournament.
Yeah, and Duke actually beat Utah in the Elite Eight last year to eliminate them. So maybe a bit of a revenge win for Utah. And Duke, they're a team to watch certainly. Brandon Ingram is phenomenal. You know what? He reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant. Big, lanky, he can shoot. He's not as great as a driver, but he's still a freshman. Give him some time. What do you think about that, Peter?
I see the comparisons there. I don't know if he's as long at this point as Durant, because Durant was, you know, phenomenal. You know, only 1 year at Texas.
Yeah.
But I can see Ingram. There's a lot there for this kid. He's arguably the most talented player on that team.
Yeah, certainly. And then you mentioned the likes of Grayson Allen, Marshall Plumlee, the third Plumlee. Eight years in a row that Coach K has had a Plumlee on his team. Unbelievable. He might be able to step up. Duke, they can make a run in the tournament, as they seem to always do. Last year, win it all. Coach K, he'll be just fine. He doesn't look too worried. Doesn't look a day over 70. So, if I'm a Duke faithful, I'm not worried one bit. What about you?
I wouldn't be worried at all. I mean, even if you look at it, UNC even lost over. They won, but you know they're now have 2 losses. I mean, I think the ACC is wide open at this point. I mean, there's nothing to worry about. When you're a program like Duke, you can afford to lose games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're going to go in there, you're going to lose to Wake Forest twice in the ACC. I mean, you may lose to Virginia. Virginia's a good team, you know, it's UNC. UNC is a good team. I mean, the ACC is pretty stacked top to bottom this year, but that just makes it even better when it comes to tournament time.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Virginia, a big ACC win, defeated Villanova 86-78. That was a huge win for Virginia in my eyes. Tony Bennett's squad. That was a big win tournament time.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely a confidence booster. You can go, you know, out of conference victory over, you know, a top 15 program like Villanova. I mean, they're highly ranked last year, highly ranked this year. This is a very good Nova team they beat.
Yeah, and Jay Wright's squad, Ryan Architiacono, seems like his 8th year in college basketball, but he's a 4-year senior. He's a solid guard, but as I mentioned, come 20 time, I think the committee's going to look at that win and really, I think that could set apart Virginia maybe to a 1, a 2, or a 3 seed, etc. I just see Virginia, usually they're known for their defense, but you score 86 points on a very good, talented, deep Villanova squad. That catches my eye.
You're definitely right. I can make the case that's the most important game of this weekend. You know, an 8 versus a 12. I mean, I can say Duke, Utah maybe second, but really, if you look at that, just look at all the factors in that game. That's the most important game of this weekend.
Yeah, certainly. This weekend, full of excitement. 2015, full of excitement. 2015, the conference schedules are. Surely, Peter, as you mentioned, this weekend was full of excitement. The weekend's encountering. Surely, as you mentioned, Peter, this weekend was full of excitement. A plethora of games, and it's only getting better because now conference schedule starts. It's really now or never.
Yeah, it is.
And you know what? Why not? 2015 is coming to an end. So now, 2016. What are you looking forward to, Peter? Name me one thing that you're looking forward to in 2016, Peter.
Well, we just talked about that ACC. You know, look at the teams in there. There's so many good teams in there, and the conference play is going to be so exciting because, well, most of the teams are probably going to determine not to worry about it. They're going to get such good matchups. You're going to see UNC, Duke, Virginia, Syracuse. All of these teams. I mean, we just keep going on and on.
Yeah, and
It's loaded.
don't overlook teams like Pittsburgh. Jamie Dixon usually seems to keep his team relevant. So yes, certainly ACC, the top 5 or 6. That's a very strong conference. Now, something that I am looking forward to. Smart move. Was it a smart move for Shaka Smart to take his talents to Texas? I don't know. Shaka Smart is a bit of a wild card for me. I'm not sure how he's going to do. Can he turn around that program? I'm interested to see, can he deliver the results like he did at VCU on a bigger stage, bigger level, the Big Ten? Like, no disrespect to the A10, it's certainly a great conference, but on a nightly basis, the Big 12, you certainly get the best, and it's just the talent level is certainly superior. So I want to see, can Shaka Smart Texas squad really step up, and is there a light at the end of the tunnel there?
I mean, I think there is. I think Shaka Smart's one of the best coaches in college basketball. I mean, what he did with VCU, and they weren't a one-hit wonder. They were year in the tournament. They were making runs. They were shocking teams, and Texas struggled a little bit last few years. But the thing is, when you have a program like that, they have money and they have recruiting connections. They're going to get players. If Smart gets his players and they buy into the philosophy, which is the key anywhere, then they're going to be good.
Yeah, and Shaka Smart certainly prides himself on relentlessness and defense. So I don't know. I think Shaka Smart over time we'll see his progress, but I'm just wondering to see how he does this year. Like, can they make the tournament this year? Do you think?
I think they have a chance. I mean, that big win over UNC is a statement win.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, we're talking about the committees looking back at wins. That's a game they can look back to and say, all right.
Yeah, Jonathan Felix with the big game winner. I don't know. That's something else. Now, one more thing that you're excited for in the 2016 year.
I just want to see if Ben Simmons makes the tournament, man. I mean, I am infatuated with this guy. He is so good, but his team around him is just so mediocre. It's a waste of his talent. I understand why he went to LSU, you know, Godfather's a coach there, but it's a waste if he's not in the tournament this year. He's not even in the NIT this year. I mean, at this point, LSU has to win the SEC tournament to pretty much get in. I mean, they're going to lose along the way. They're just, overall, the team's not great, but Benson's just so good. I want to to see more.
Yeah, it hurts to watch, really. I kind of feel bad. The team around him is just so stagnant. They give him the ball and that's it. I kind of feel bad. I think he can certainly be a lottery pick. But the team around him, as you mentioned, is very, very weak. And I really had high expectations for LSU this year. So, can you even remember the last lottery pick whose team didn't even make the tournament? I mean, usually they come from the likes of Duke, Kentucky. This is going to be interesting. I can't even remember the last lottery pick whose team didn't make a tournament.
And this guy, as long as he's not done, he stays healthy, he's going number one. You can't tell me anybody else who's better than him right now and who should go number one. Ingram, he's not at that level yet. I mean, you watch Simmons play and you can see he's on a whole nother level than any other of these guys. But basketball's, 5 players on the court. One guy can't win a game for you.
Yeah, certainly. And it's tough to play his game, really, when other teams, unlike the NBA, majority of college teams play a zone, so it's harder to play his style. And then, so the zone, you really have to move the ball. And as I mentioned, Ben Simmons gets the ball, he passes it, and the team just doesn't live up to him and doesn't feed him. And I kind of feel bad, but hey, he was the one that chose to go there. He was the number one recruit. He could have gone anywhere in the country. I'm sure Calipari, Pitino would have loved to have him. But hey, he chose to LSU, and he's got to live with that decision. Mm-hmm. Lastly, one point that I want to make is, for 2016, Miller time. Can Sean Miller finally get past the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament? Do you think this is the year for Arizona, Peter?
I do not. I think they lost too much with McConnell gone and Stanley Johnson. It's all a good team, but I see a lot of other teams out there that are just better all around. I mean, maybe if they get a good draw, maybe they get a couple dominoes fall their way, but it's just, I don't think this is the year.
Yeah, given Sean Miller has not had the easiest matchups per se, drawing Wisconsin the last 2 years, obviously those devastating losses. But really, if you want to be a major program, you got to beat those teams. I mean, Sean Miller, he always reaches the Elite Eight, loses to Wisconsin, Ohio State. Maybe the Big Ten's a bad matchup for him. He's not used to the strong level in the Pac that they have in the Pac-12 compared to the Big Ten. So I don't know. But as a fan, I really hope that Arizona can get past that next level. I've watched a couple games, and something that I love about college basketball this season, there's no one great team. I think this is going to be a year where teams 1 through 5, it's going to change every week.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of parity this year. I think that's what's going to make this season really great.
Yeah, and Arizona, currently in the top 10, I think maybe, even if they don't finish the year as a 1 seed or even a 2 seed, I think that they can make a Final Four run, okay? Listen to me now, Peter. Right now, their team is depleted. Elliot Pitts is hurt. Trey Mason is hurt. Caleb Tarczewski is hurt. So I think once those guys return, they're gonna start to click late February, early March. And hey, tournament's not always about the best team. It's about who's the hottest at the right time. Look at UConn, okay? Teams like that can really just catch fire on one player. Maybe Gabe York catches fire. When he starts hitting that three, they become unstoppable. Alonzo Trier, Caleb Tarczewski, Kadeem Allen. I'm telling you, Peter, he'll get that defense right. Arizona will make the Final Four. Mark my words, Peter.
That's your second big prediction of this podcast.
Sean Miller will be considered an elite coach after this year. We don't, as East Coasters, we don't really see the progress and the results that Sean Miller on the West Coast gets. We don't really, the games start at 10, 9:30, but after this year, we're going to start to look back like, wow, Sean Miller's had a lot of success, and this is the year, Peter. This is the year.
All right, I'll be happy to see it happen. He's a good man.
Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed, and look forward for our next podcast in 2016.